Do you want to find rental property in Nashville, but are scared to death of what that actually means? What if I end up with a bad tenant, someone who doesn't pay their rent and ruins my property? Well, what if I told you there was a way that you could mitigate that risk by having a process or philosophy that helps you find good tenants? My name is David Goodman, and I help my clients buy, sell, and manage rental properties in the Nashville market. So who is a good tenant? I think most people would agree that a good tenant is someone who pays their rent on time, is willing to pay top dollar, someone who's willing to take care of your property, and someone who doesn't ask you, the landlord, to do a lot of anything. You know, they just are content and don't want to rock the boat, right? This is a good tenant. So how do you find a tenant like this? Well, the important thing to remember about this tenant is that they are happy. They are happy with where they live. They don't want to live anywhere else. So the real question is, how do I create a situation where my tenant is happy? So why do we want a happy tenant? This really isn't something that we really think about as investors. You know, most of the time, the clients that I work with, at least, are more concerned with filling the property and how much are they paying in rent and are they taking care of the property. You know, those are the main concerns, and those are certainly valid and important, right? What I would say to you is that we're looking for the same thing, right? We want someone who's willing to pay top dollar, and we want someone also who's going to treat my property with care. And the reason for that is, in the Nashville market, what is the true asset? What is the thing that we are actually investing in? Are we looking for cash flow, like in Memphis, where we would pay, $150,000 for a house and get $1,500 in rent? Is that something that we can really expect here? If you've been doing this here long enough, you know that's not really something that we're seeing in our market, right? But what we are seeing is massively fast rates of appreciation, right? So if you bought a home at the beginning of 2021, and you held onto that home for just 1 year and did absolutely nothing to the property other than maintain it, your property value went up 33%, right? Which is staggering. So if you had a $300,000 house, 1 year later, that home was worth $360,000, right? Could you get that in rent in Memphis or in Chattanooga or in Huntsville, Alabama? No, right? So what is making people massively wealthy here, property owners, are people who own properties and take care of them, right? So, and there's lots of reasons why we're appreciating this quickly, and there's lots of reasons why this is happening in Nashville, and we can go over that another time, but that is the case here, and that is the sexy thing about this market. So what is the most important thing that we do? I believe the most important thing that we do is add value to our property and maintain our property. Put tenants in there that will pay off the note, that will pay for the maintenance and pay for the repairs that every home is going to need. That's the most important thing about tenants. And if me, as an investor or someone who is a property owner, I want passive income, right? So if I'm in situations where my tenants are not happy, I'm not going to have passive income. I'm going to have situations to deal with. And if you've spent any time doing property management at all, we realize that this can be hands-on work. But there are some kinds of tenants that don't require that work. And that's what we're trying to get to today. How do we find those tenants that are going to pay top dollar for your home to rent, top dollar for your investment property, who are going to maintain your property and don't bother you, the landlord, every single month with little repairs that need to be done all the time? How do we find that person? So the first and most important step to having a tenant that is a good fit for our property is making sure we have a good property, making sure we have a good product. Now, does this mean I have to buy the most luxurious home in Brentwood or Franklin? Absolutely not. You can almost buy in any neighborhood in Nashville and have a good product. It could be a duplex in Madison. It could be a single family home in South Nashville. It could be a condo in Bellevue. Doesn't really matter, right? What does matter is that you take care of the product. You take care and maintain the house. What does that mean? It literally means painting the walls, making sure the outlets all look the same. You know, putting a nice like laminate countertop in your kitchen, having a high quality vinyl floor, updating the carpets, like doing the basically the bare minimums. In doing these maintenance things doesn't really have to cost a lot of money, but it goes a long way in showing the potential tenant that this is a good product. We are in a market where you can get a high price for rent for a product that is not maintained. There's no question you can do that. But we have to ask ourselves, who are we actually attracting to our rental property that we ourselves are not maintaining, right? We're attracting desperate people, right? The kinds of tenants that we want to attract to our property are people that are responsible, have good income, planned ahead on their next move. These people have a choice to move a lot of places, right? They are the cream de la cream. They are people that have options. They are not going to be fooled or feel pressured to pay high rents for a product that just isn't well maintained. You will find some people like this. You're going to find desperate people who maybe didn't plan ahead on their next move, someone who's maybe in between jobs, who's having a hard time finding a rental property, and here you are with a product that has sat on the market for maybe a week, which isn't a long time, but in this market, I would say that is a long time, right? So you are attracting the kind of person that isn't going to maintain your property because you don't maintain the property. They had issues where they live in the past, right? That is not who we're trying to attract. So now that we have a product that is well maintained, has a good turnover, it's looking clean, it's in the best condition that it can reasonably be expected to be in, it's time to list the product. And it's time to do something that 90% of landlords and owners do not do. Take professional photos, right? There's a lot of reasons to take professional photos, but probably the most important one is that 90% of your competition is not going to take professional photos, right? So if we're attracting the best tenants we possibly want to fill out an application for our product, do whatever we can for them to click on our listing and get more information on our product, right? We want to attract as many applications as possible to pick the very best one. Professional photos can be used over and over and over and over again in different ways. If you decide you want to list it down the road, great. If you, if for some reason a tenant has to move out quickly and you have to put it back on the market quickly, you have photos that you can put out there. You can even put these photos out before a tenant even moves out, so there's less turnover. The photos can be used great for when you do turnover, if you're using a different contractor, a different maintenance guy. This is how we want the product to look. Here you go, make it happen, right? So photos are super important. The next few steps are just really simple, guys. List it professionally. We've taken really good photos. Now let's list it on the MLS. Let's list it through Zillow. A side note on listing in Nashville is that you have to list separately from the MLS to Zillow. Zillow isn't pulling from the MLS because they're not making as much money, I guess. I'm not sure. But that is something to keep in consideration. So if you list on Zillow, you're not necessarily on all the other platforms. Or if you list through RealTrax, which is Nashville's MLS, you're not necessarily going to Zillow. You got to make sure you do those separately. Make sure you have a good description. This is kind of an art form rather than a science, but I will give you a great tip on a description. This is a pro tip right here. If you list if you have a product, just make sure you say these magic words: no application fee until applicant is picked, right? Everyone on the market right now is, management companies especially, are just racking up application fees and nickel and diming their potential applicants, and applicants and renters are just getting so tired of it. It's to the point where a lot of them aren't even willing to put in an applicant. Even if they're on the fence about that property, they will not spend the $50 to put an application in, right? That's not what we're trying to do. We want those applications to come in, and we want to, and just by saying like, hey, I'm not trying to nickel and dime you. I just want to, we're trying to help you as a tenant. We want to give you a product. We don't want your $50 unless we actually do a background check and check your credit. Goes a long way. It tells that tenant that, hey, this is a landlord that maybe I can deal with. My landlord's someone who actually cares about me or cares about, treating me fairly. The last thing is have an application process. For me, I want my application to be as informative as possible. Like, I want to know as much as I can about this person on paper that I possibly can. If they're worth someone, making sure that I pick up the phone and learning more about. Are they working? Do they drive a vehicle? What kind of work do they do? What is their income? You have to be careful that we're not doing anything to discriminate. We just want to make sure that this person is, it is viable, that they can rent our property at the rate that we are listed at, right? The very last step for me is just making sure that we are as responsive as possible. So as I get applicants in to look at my properties, we're getting text message, phone calls, emails. It's really important just to have a system of picking up the phone and talking to applicants that we're interested in working with. Just having that phone call conversation goes so far. When it's time to do showings, I try to actually be there at the showing so I can actually meet the potential applicant that's going to be moving into that property. A lot of times I can get a feeling from just that meeting that whether or not this person is going to be a good fit for this property, right? That's really important to me. Is this person a good fit for my property, right? And that can, again, we're not going into anything that like dealing. You have to be really careful not to discriminate in any way. But there are going to be situations with someone's job, employment, whether in school or whether they're professionals, and whether or not this property is going to be a good fit. One thing that I've done in the past with an applicant who has a dog or a cat, I have, most people have dogs and cats, right? Most sane people seek friendship from animals. So a lot of the applicants that I'm trying to attract are going to have a cat or have a dog. With the same token, a lot of those people, a lot of the damage that can happen to my property are going to come from cats and dogs. So how do I mitigate that risk? For me, if I have an applicant that looks really good on paper, they sound really good, I will find out where they live, talk to them, ask them for permission to meet them in person, to fill out an application, and so that I can see how they treat their current living situation, especially if they're local. If they're local, I had that done to me. I had 2 dogs. My landlord wanted rent to us, but he was afraid of, what a dog could do to his property. So he actually came to our condo and met us to see how we lived, right? And that says it all. If I go there and I meet the applicant and their property is well maintained and I see how they're leaving their property, I mean, that's huge. That's probably one of the most important things that I can do, especially if they have pets. So I think you can see that this is really more of a philosophy rather than a step-by-step, right? This idea of having happy tenants is not really something that's really talked about in the real estate investing world. Most of us are more worried about, again, what the numbers, what do the numbers say? And is this passive income? And I guess in conclusion, I would say that having a happy tenant is your path to financial freedom and to passive income, right? So often I see situations where the landlord or the property owner and the tenant have an adversarial relationship. They're working against each other. They're pushing against each other, right? That's every situation that I end up replacing is this kind of situation. And in the long run, it is costing landlords, property owners money. Turnover costs you money, right? Pissed off tenants cost you money. It could cost you money with just someone who's not really wanting to stay there or who's going to just give you hell every time you have to take care of something. It's just someone who's going to be working against you. If I can create a relationship with the tenant where that tenant knows they have it good, they're happy with where they're at. People in Nashville, tenants, residents, they know that the bar is low for rentals. Just go on Facebook or just talk to anyone who's currently renting right now. Ask them if they're happy with where they live and how their landlord treats them, and you will hear it firsthand that the bar is very low. Or on the other hand, you will find tenants and that absolutely love their landlord, love where they live, and will rent with them over and over and over again because they don't want to go anywhere else, because they know they're lucky with where they're at, right? They pay on time and they don't want to rock the boat, right? We want to reciprocate what other people do for us. It's a natural law. It's a natural human behavior, right? And it's something that we never do as landlords to our tenants, or we seldom do, or seldom think about. And what I would say to you is when you're doing that for your tenant, for your customer, it in the long run will save you money and will take care of your asset. So not everyone has the ability to do that or has the patience to do that. So if you don't have that ability as an owner, just make sure you're working with someone that does. Work with a management company that is not adversarial with your tenants, right? Work with a management company that works well with you, the owner, who's paying them, but also can maintain a professional and friendly relationship with your tenants. If you can do that and reach that balance, you're going to have a product that lasts a long time, that will continue to appreciate and hopefully save you white hairs on your head. So I hope this information helped. If you have any questions about this, you can feel free to comment or shoot me an email at david@dlgoodmanproperties.com.